In this video, we will explore the role of medieval executioners, known as executioners, and the various practices, tools, and challenges they faced during the Middle Ages. We will show you how executioners were often trained within their families and learned the trade through apprenticeship. They witnessed different forms of punishment and execution, dealt with the psychological toll of their profession, and relied on religion to find solace. We will also delve into the dark and gruesome methods and tools used by executioners, such as the breaking wheel and the practice of boiling people alive, highlighting their purpose of maintaining authority and order. We will delve into the social stigma associated with being an executioner, their economic compensation, and the challenges they faced in their personal lives. We will analyze the rituals, practices, and evolution of the roles of executioners throughout history. Forging a shadowy destiny, the training of medieval executioners. Often, the path to becoming an executioner was passed down from generation to generation within families, and young apprentices learned from their fathers or male relatives. They would assist in various tasks, from simple hangings to more complex and gruesome execution methods. Apprentices also learned to care for and maintain the tools of the trade. For example, the famous executioner Franz Smith served as the official executioner of Nuremberg for 45 years and recorded his experiences in a journal. Throughout their training, these aspiring executioners witnessed various forms of punishment and execution, becoming familiar with the rituals that accompanied them. They also had to cope with the psychological challenges of their profession, often relying on religion for comfort and justification. Precision was crucial in their work, as illustrated by an anecdote about a nervous executioner in 1649 who consumed alcohol to steady his hand before carrying out the beheading of King Charles V of England. Instruments of retribution, the macabre art of medieval execution. Some executioners consumed large amounts of alcohol before performing their duties, leading to mishaps, such as the need for a second blow to completely sever the condemned's head. Charles-André Sanson, the chief executioner of France during the French Revolution, supposedly declared, "The king no longer exists," after executing King Louis XVI. Executioners employed various tools and execution methods used during the Middle Ages, including hanging, beheading, burning at the stake, and dismemberment. While the era of medieval executions has passed, the instruments of retribution used by executioners still linger in history. One such tool was the breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel, where the condemned were tied to a large wooden wheel and their limbs secured to the spokes. The executioner would then use an iron bar or a hammer to break the victim's bones, rendering them unable to escape their agonizing fate. Another gruesome method, though less common, was boiling people alive. The executioner would heat a large cauldron filled with water or oil in which the condemned would be cooked to death. These brutal methods served a specific purpose in the mindset of the ruling class, aiming to reinforce their authority, deter potential wrongdoers, and maintain a semblance of order in a time of rampant violence and chaos. Enveloped in darkness, the veiled identity of medieval executioners. Executioners themselves operated in secrecy and often wore distinctive clothing and masks to conceal their identities, as their profession was considered dishonorable and socially marginalized. By exploring the need for anonymity and the distinctive attire worn by executioners, we uncover a hidden facet of their lives intertwined with secrecy and stigma. While some chose to remain anonymous, certain executioners gained notoriety and became well-known figures of their time, such as Charles-Henri Sanson, the chief executioner of France during the French Revolution. Marginalized by the sword, the solitary world of the medieval executioner. The role of the executioner was considered dishonorable and shameful, often imposed upon those with limited survival options. They were treated as outcasts, shunned and rejected by their communities, believed to bring bad luck and misfortune. They were required to live on the outskirts of cities, near cemeteries or other death-related places, and were mandated to announce their presence upon entering a town. Despite the isolation, executioners received some support from the authorities that employed them, including modest income, housing, and legal protection. However, this support did little to counteract the widespread stigma and disdain they faced from their fellow citizens. Their personal lives were also fraught with difficulties, as establishing lasting relationships was a challenge due to the stigma associated with their profession. Nonetheless, some executioners managed to find comfort and even a degree of respect within their profession, as seen in the case of Franz Smith, who served as the official executioner of Nuremberg for 45 years and kept a detailed diary of his work. Another example is the infamous English executioner Jack Ketch, who amassed wealth through bribes, highlighting the delicate balance between public repulsion and dependence on the services of executioners to maintain order. Despite the stigma, executioners were compensated in various ways, such as a fixed salary provided by local authorities, although it was often modest compared to other specialized professions. Bloody money. The grim rewards of the medieval executioners often had the right to charge fees for specific tasks, with the price varying based on the complexity and severity of the punishment. More gruesome and high-profile executions commanded higher prices. Additionally, executioners sometimes had legal protection to ensure they could not be prosecuted for their actions. They were also granted the right to claim the belongings of the condemned, which could be quite lucrative if the victim was wealthy or of high rank. They could also receive a portion of fines imposed on the condemned or their relatives. Despite the various forms of compensation available, executioners' financial prospects were often uncertain, leading some to seek additional income through less reputable means, such as accepting bribes or engaging in the illegal trade of body parts. Overall, being an executioner carried a high psychological cost, and many struggled with guilt, remorse, and despair. They developed coping mechanisms, such as framing their work as a necessary duty or focusing on the technical aspects of their job. But the psychological burden could still be overwhelming and lead to alcoholism, depression, and other mental illnesses. Sinister shadows. The hidden torment of the medieval executioners would make preparations before executions, inspecting and maintaining their tools, and invoking divine protection. They sought to minimize errors and ensure efficient deaths for the condemned. These executioners also engaged in prayers and devotional practices to seek forgiveness and divine support. The rituals and customs during the actual execution varied based on the method and local traditions. The executioner played a central role in these ceremonies, acting as an instrument of divine justice and facing collective anger and societal retribution. Even after the executioner's responsibilities continued and often involved the disposal of remains. Dark emperors, notorious executioners in history. Throughout history, there were infamously famous executioners, including Franz Smith, known for his professionalism and personal diary documenting over 350 executions, Jack Ketch, infamous for his brutality and incompetence, and Tom Horn, a legendary figure of the American Wild West who carried out executions amid controversy. A gruesome spectacle, the theatre of public executions in the Middle Ages. During the Middle Ages, William Nicol, known for his role in William Nicol's hanging, would eventually be executed himself in 1903. Anatole Deibler, a French executioner, oversaw the guillotine and executed over 400 people, including notorious criminals. Despite the gruesome nature of their work, both executioners attempted to maintain an appearance of normalcy in their personal lives. Public executions were a common spectacle in medieval society, serving as entertainment for the masses and as a deterrent for crime. These events allowed people to release their frustrations and fears while reinforcing the power and authority of the ruling classes. Executions were seen as political theatre, a way for the ruling classes to assert their control and dominance. The role of the executioner evolved over time, reflecting changes in public opinion and understanding of justice and punishment. From the shadowy and anonymous figures of the Middle Ages to the more enlightened modern era, the transformation of the executioner reflects broader social changes and provides insight into the changing moral landscape of humanity. From darkness to light, the evolution and transformation of the executioner's role. The emergence of technologies like the guillotine further accelerated this transformation as it promised a more humane and efficient method of execution. The guillotine aimed to democratize the process, ensuring that all condemned individuals, regardless of their social status, faced the same swift and painless end. This marked a turning point in the evolution of the executioner's role as traditional skills were replaced by mechanization and automation. Throughout the 19th century, the debate over the morality of capital punishment intensified, driven by philosophers, writers, and social reformers. Ultimately, in the 20th century, many countries gradually abolished various forms of capital punishment, seeking more humane and effective means of addressing crime. The role of the executioner became increasingly marginalized, and professional technicians now carry out executions in clinical and remote settings. The image of the hooded executioner with an axe has given way to faceless technicians administering lethal injections or operating electric chairs.